But I can remember, and this sounds crazy, but at the time, it kind of felt good to talk bad about myself. It felt good to basically abuse myself. It sounds so odd, but I can remember thinking there's like this weird rush that I would get when I would say that stuff. But of course, within minutes, I'm not feeling good about myself at all. But there was that weird rush that I would feel at the moment when I would say it, like, oh, that felt good to say that. But then a few minutes later, I'm like, no, that did not feel good. That I don't feel good about myself now. So what is that?
Well, when we get used to anything, there is that sense of comfort in it. There is
Yeah.
that sense of this is right and normal, even if it's not
Right.
healthy. And it also, if you are coming from a background of being abused, especially from very important people in your life that you care about, like parents that
Yeah.
you have a natural bond to, then it begins these feelings of being abused, but the love and attachment and the bond for a parent get confused. And so it begins to wind around one another, so that that abuse is related back to that bond and that love that we have for our parents. And so it feels normal, and it feels bonding, and it feels comforting, even though it's horribly unhealthy. And these things are very tough to unlearn, because our brains, as we said, just gets used to feeling that way. Our emotional state feels this is right. This is the way I should be treated, because this is the way my parents treated me, and my parents must
Yeah.
be right because they're my parents.
Right.
And we have these assumptions that are not true. One of the things that I often ask in these situations is, who made that rule? I have to appreciate how my parents treat me. Who made that rule? There are good parents and there are bad parents, and there
Mhm.
are parents who struggle even though they're good people, and there's
Yeah.
all range of parenting out there. Who made the rule that we have to just accept everything about family?
Mhm.
We can care about them, we can show respect for them, we can love them, but we don't have to emulate them. Right? That's not a rule. That's
Right.
not part of nature. The rule is the sun has to come up in the morning. There's certain rules of nature that have to be. Honoring what our parents do that is abusive, and repeating that on ourselves is not a rule, but it feels like it,
Mhm.
because that was such a impressionable time as a child. We just assume that what is done to us as a child, we assume that's what the world is, because we have no other frame of reference.
Right. So
And
that's the way you explained that though was powerful, and I think I got it. And it is twisted what our brains do to us, but
yeah,
because that's what we were used to and what was normal, that it's it just becomes comforting in that moment because we're getting attention. I'm still getting attention. I'm
yeah,
still getting some kind of payback even. So that I get it. That's so, but now that I'm on the other side of it, it just seems like, God, it just seems so crazy, but it makes sense. And that's the
yeah.
crazy part about, abuse and what it does to us. It does some crazy stuff to us.
There is a logic to it, and so it's
Yeah.
not crazy. There
Yeah.
is a real logic that I love my parents. My parents treat me badly, so being treated badly must be right.
Right.
That's a logical flow.
Right.
And so then, if I want to be treated right, I must treat myself badly.
God.
And if I want other people to treat me right, I must let them treat me badly, because I'm just following the example. Having no other frame of reference as a child, I assume that that treatment from my parent is what love is. So if you come from an abusive background, you have to unlearn these things.
Hmm.
But it's not crazy, because there is a line of logic.
Right.
When you get on the other side of it, you realize it's a flawed logic. That
Correct.
it is not what needs to be. That there is a better alternative, but it's not bizarre or crazy, and there's nothing wrong with you if you're in that place of life. You're following a a basic system of logic, but unfortunately, you're following a system of logic that doesn't work for a healthy life, and you have an opportunity then, once you see it, to follow a different line of reasoning.
That is just, it makes so much sense. I mean, I'm sitting here in awe because you really answered a question. And it's true because when you're in this place, like when I was on my healing journey in survival mode, and I talk about this, that, you do things that you wouldn't do outside of survival mode, right? There's things that we did that, outside of survival mode, I would never do. And
Right.
it, you get caught up in that, and it's the way that you see that your behavior isn't okay, because you can see it kind of from other people's reactions, but you don't know why. And and then you start looking at it, because you're looking at it from almost like a normal point of view. And when you look at it like that, it's like, that's just what you just did was just crazy. But on this end, it's like, it makes sense to me. And
Yeah.
then you put that answer in there of why we do it and why it is logical. And it's like, oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. Okay, good. That,
No.